goodbye. For a cancer patient, that word has two very different meanings. That's why when we've done everything we can, we do things nobody's done before.
I did it, Mom.
At the Christ Hospital Health Network, we collaborate with Dana-Farber Brigham Cancer Center to offer next-level care, developed by the world's best minds. Treatment that could change your odds. Or maybe the world. The Christ Hospital Health Network. Everything it takes.
The Pound This Podcast is brought to you by the Christ Hospital Health Network. This is the Pound This Podcast, episode 821, How the Pandemic Helped Becca Love Fitness and Lose 80 Pounds.
I want to lose weight, but I don't know how to get started.
What should I meal prep every week?
How do I get those sweet booty gains?
Inspiration for your healthy lifestyle. The Pound This Podcast with Amanda Valentine.
What up, homies? Welcome to the Pound This Podcast. Before I get into this conversation or continue the conversation with Becca, which we chatted a few years ago at the beginning of her journey, which started with COVID, to where she is now and what a badass she is and how she works with Sarah and Team Fit With Me, I want to talk to you about Sarah and Team Fit With Me. Like you're going to hear in this episode, Sarah helps Becca reach her goals, keeps her accountable, and is helping her live her best healthiest life. And Sarah and her entire team can do that for you too. If you struggle with nutrition, don't we all? They can break down exactly what you're eating. They can build you out meal plans. And what Sarah does is helps you do this for life. You know what I mean? She's teaching you the lifestyle changes so you can learn to fall in love with the process and do it and feel good so you can go flourish on your own. Which isn't that the goal, right? Sarah is amazing, again, with her whole team of people where they can help you with your fitness, they can help you with your nutrition, help you deal with your hormones, whatever your goals are. If it's fat loss, man, chef's kiss, she's got you. But no matter what your goal is, check out Sarah. You're going to hear all about that in this episode. But if you want to go, check out teamfitwithme.com, reach out to Sarah, ask about pricing plans. They have changed. She wants to tailor make a pricing plan to work for you because she wants to help you reach your goals. Also, if you're looking for some convenient nutrition here in Cincinnati, check out Clean Eats in Newport. It's been massively helpful for me. Now, I love that there's so much variety. When I meal prep for myself, I eat the same things over and over again, but the food is so freaking good. Like I'm eating like Mexican lasagna this week. There's a bloomin' onion bowl that I'm eating this week that is so freaking good. And there's so many options. So there's one breakfast option if you do the fresh menu every week. And then there's like 5 or 6 other meal options. So whether you just want to get lunches, you just want to get breakfast, you want to get dinner, or you want to get all of them. I do 21 meals a week. And the price changes depending on that. All the prices are at cleaneats.com. Like every week that menu changes. There's no membership. There's no subscription. You just pay for whatever you need. Same thing if you want to go into Newport, into Clean Eats. There's the entire frozen section, which takes up the whole freaking wall. There's a lot of meal prep in there, including the cauliflower crust pizzas. There's the big meals for whole families. Or if you just want to like have a lunch meeting there, there's smoothies, there's power bowls, there's flatbreads in the cafe. Lots of convenient, healthy options, which those two words don't have to like, parallel or bounce off of each other. Normally, when you think like fast food or you think about grabbing food, it's not healthy, which is not the case at Clean Eats in Newport. So check them out. We're going to hear about all of the above now with Becca. Thank you so much for listening to the Pound This Podcast. I am Amanda Valentine, returning guest, although it has been several years since we've talked on this podcast, is Becca Potzner. What's up, Becca?
Hello. Excited to be back again.
Yeah. Well, we just looked up. I was just like, what date were you on this podcast? And I'm like, holy crap, it's even longer than I thought it was. January 11th, 2021. And we talked about your weight loss in 2020. But even since we recorded that podcast, afterwards, you came and, worked out with me as your personal trainer. I can speak. I have a podcast. It's obvious. And that was probably right after that, right? 2021. So I was your trainer 2021 through the beginning of 2022. And then I left. And then you started training with Nick, who's been on this podcast several times. So I know for me, like we stay in touch via Instagram. And knowing that you had this weight loss journey in 2020, which we can touch on again here in a second. But like for me, I'm like just seeing that you're just like kicking ass and taking names. It's like, it feels like to me, like you're always working out. You're being a huge badass. I know you're working with Sarah and Team Fit With Me and like just crushing goals and looking like a total freaking babe in all of your photos of just like like you go to all these concerts and you have like the coolest outfit, and it's like, talk about like having like Instagram inspiration where you're like, this chick has a kick-ass life.
Thank you. I'm trying.
So let's start with 2020 and where we were there. And so if somebody missed that episode, which is totally plausible, that was 2 years ago. So tell me about kind of like where you began, how you kind of like started on this journey of like, hey, I want to get healthier, or what headspace you were in, or what even your goals were at that time to kind of lead us to where we are now.
Mm-hmm. It feels like it hasn't been that long, but it also feels like a lifetime.
Yeah.
When I started, it was pretty much around when COVID happened, and I was at home. We were working from home at the time, and I was like, well, I mean, if I'm going to be at home all the time, I should probably like do something with my time. And I've always struggled with my weight, and I'm like, let me just try to get into a routine of working out. So during that time, I was living in an apartment, and they had a gym, and I would just, do like Peloton app classes on the bike, or I would do like just like a HIIT workout on YouTube kind of deal. And that's kind of how it started. And then I just kind of started watching what I ate. I Googled how to figure out how to eat in a calorie deficit, and just kind of did that on my own, focusing on eating vegetables and hitting that calorie goal. And then it's just like changed a lot since then. Just learning about how to feel my body, and the way I work out now is totally different. I definitely am in a routine of working out now. So it worked.
Yes. So tell me
Yeah.
about your workout routine now. What does your daily fitness look like?
So I work out at the gym with Nick twice a week, as long as I don't have plans to go out of town. And then I usually do at least one strength training workout at home too. And then I'll do 3 to 4 days where I do like 30 minutes of some sort of cardio, which is usually either just walking, or I've been doing the spin bike more recently.
So I see kind of a little bit in your Instagram stories, your home gym. Like, what do you got going on in there? Like, what was the process of building a home gym?
My home gym started out with a small Amazon set that someone was throwing away at my apartment. I was like, wow, this is a sign I need to work out, because these are just new and here, and I'm going to take these home and work out with them. So it was just like 8, 5, and 3 dumbbells or something. But we have everything up. I think the highest dumbbell weight we have right now is like 35. Got a whole spread of dumbbell weights. I've got a spin bike, a treadmill, those like weighted medicine ball things. I just ordered, what do you call it? Not a dumbbell.
A barbell?
A barbell, yes. I just ordered one of those. Newbie over here. Yeah, it just keeps growing, because I'm like, ooh, I want to do this, but I don't have it. So it's slowly building into a pretty nice gym setup.
So like between that and working out with Nick, what are some of like the big fitness goals that you've hit, or things that have especially made you feel proud or really good?
Well, I think when I started working out with you, we did some deadlifting, and I told Nick that I wanted to continue doing that, and he was super stoked on that. So we really worked on that, and I think I got up to like 185. So that was like really big for me, because that is like more than I weigh now. So I was like, I just lifted my weight.
Oh yeah,
That
dude, that's
is
badass.
amazing. Yeah. And then like right now, I set a goal to hit a 100-pound weighted squat by June. So last week I was at 90.
Dang.
questioning why I set this goal. But once I hit it, I'll be super excited because it's freaking impressive.
Oh,
I think.
it is. Oh, and I'm like so hyped that you recognize that too. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's an important part of the journey is to be like, I'm doing this and I'm hyped and it's badass because it is, and not being in the headspace of like, oh, I should be able to do more. You know what I mean? Of just taking the time to recognize like, that's hard work.
Yeah, it is freaking hard work. And I feel like a badass doing it. And also it's just really cool to think like, I enjoy doing this now. And like, 2019, I hated working out. Like, it's just cool to see that I've found something that I like doing and feel good doing it.
Yeah. Have you noticed from doing strength training versus just the cardio, like any sort of body composition changes from that maybe weren't expected?
Oh yeah. I think like I've definitely lost a lot more weight since we've talked, but I think for the past couple years, my weight hasn't changed too much, but my body composition has a lot. And I don't think I really noticed that one until Sarah makes you take pictures of yourself. And I wasn't doing that before. I was like, I don't really want to do that. But it helped me realize like how much my body like actually has changed, even if maybe the scale hasn't changed as much as I thought it should.
Yeah. Well, I definitely want to talk about you working with Sarah, but if you don't mind me asking, so how much weight have you lost now?
I am down 81 total.
Dang, dude.
Yeah.
That's a lot. That is a lot of work.
It is.
So when did you start working with Sarah? Was that like a year or so ago now?
Almost a year. I started working with her like a week before I worked a festival, and I was like, you are literally nuts for telling her to start now, because you work festivals and it's just like, how are you going to eat or exercise? Like, it's just a lot of extra thinking. But yeah, so it's almost been a year.
So what have you learned from working with Sarah, and what's that process been like?
I have learned how to eat more balanced and feel myself a lot better than I was. I think like I was being mindful of how I was eating before when I started this journey, but now I'm even more mindful and like eating a lot more vegetables and looking at ingredients and seeing if certain things are in there that maybe aren't the best for my body. Even if they're like a diet food and they're supposed to help you lose weight. What else have I learned? Just like the whole macro thing, I think has helped a lot because I kind of hit a plateau, and it definitely helped me reach some of my goals a little bit better. And just like pairing it with training and cardio, because I wasn't really doing cardio either.
I understand. Yeah, and then that's where like cardio for me too. I'm like, oh, if it's hiking or walking, I'm down. But if like I gotta do like some HIIT stuff, I'm like, ugh.
Yeah. Same.
That's awesome. So, or do you think that where you're at with Sarah, which you don't have to answer this because I'm putting you on the spot, is this something where you're like, oh man, I'm going to continue doing this? Or do you feel like you've learned all the tools and so you're off on your own? Or do you like having that like accountability, kind of like having a personal trainer of like, this just kind of helps me along on my journey?
No, I think I'm going to stick with her for a while. I think like I have a solid understanding of all the macros and stuff, but I still think I have a lot to learn on that front. Like she knows a lot more about like when I should change them and go up and down on different things. And then also like the accountability is huge, because some of the people I went on tour with, if you interviewed them about me, they'd be like, yeah, she didn't eat this at catering because she said her trainer would say she was eating like an asshole. And so like it helps me like eat more balanced when I'm on the road or out, because I'm like, Sarah's gonna call me out on this.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's important to bring up too, is that you have like with your job that you, like you just said, like you go out on tour, like you work music festivals and you like are gone all the time, that has to be so hard of trying to figure out food and especially fitness. Like while you're in hotel rooms and you're traveling, like, oh my God, like how hard has that been?
It's been hard. And at first I was like, man, I just need Sarah to understand that this is my job and there's only so much I can do. But every time she's like, you need to plan better. I'm like, you know what? You're right. So a lot of it I do have to like pre-plan and make sure like if catering isn't going to give me the proper food that I need to meet my goals, that I need to pack stuff that's going to help me meet my goals. So like usually there's not a lot of protein options. So like I'll pack protein powder or I'll pack a bunch of turkey jerky or protein bars and stuff. Or I'll just like ask ahead to see what they're providing. Thankfully, usually catering always offers a protein, a carb, and a veggie.
Nice.
So usually I'm pretty good, but I think a lot of it is coming prepared for when, they give you pizza and fried chicken every day.
Well, and I think that those options you brought up too, I just think that's awesome because I think that when people hear I have to pack ahead, you're thinking that you're going to have to like make a full meal. Like you're going to have to do a meal prep. And it's like, no, just by bringing more protein, like protein powder and turkey jerky, like those are completely affordable, doable, easy. You can shove them in your bag. You can take them on a plane. You could take them in the car. Like are in your hotel room. You don't have to have a fridge, like stuff like that. That is just going to make life so much easier than I don't have any turkey jerky on me. So I'm going to just hit up this vending machine like a hungry raccoon and I'm not going to make a good decision at all. And then I'm going to feel like crap and sleepy and inflamed and everything else.
Right. And super funny. I took a picture of this on tour. It's just like a trash can filled with the like stems of the mini bell peppers. Because mini bell peppers, I'm like, I get my vegetables in and I don't have to refrigerate them and I can just carry the little bag in my backpack. And if I get hungry, I can just pull out a pepper. And everyone made fun of me. They're like, are you over there snacking on your peppers again? I'm like, yes, I am.
Yeah, that's why I'm sure you see that too. Like, it just feels like people also, when you're eating that way and you're feeling good about it, people like to just make fun of you or hassle you a lot. And you're just like, I'm happy over here with my peppers.
Yeah, I'm like, these are good. I love these. Like, I'm actually enjoying this. If I didn't, I wouldn't have packed it.
Yeah, right? And so, so that's the food part. But then what about working out? Because it's not like working out in hotels is like super fun.
Yeah. And sometimes when I'm not even in a hotel or the hotel doesn't have a gym. So like during those times, I either just make sure I get extra steps in. So like some days we just like power walked the arena to hit our step goal that day. Or like we'll just walk around the arena or with Sarah's program, I actually reached out to them and I'm like, hey, my training programs are awesome, but I can't always do these on the road. Is there something else I can do? And so Renee like created 2 different training sessions that are just like band workouts that I can do on the road.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So that's super helpful too. Like it's easy to pack a pack of bands and like you can do that in your hotel room or, in the media room before the show.
See, I feel like I would do that, but then finding the motivation to actually work out in a hotel room.
Yeah.
I have worked out in hotel gyms before. I have never found the motivation to work out in the actual hotel room. Like, is that a hard conversation you have to have with yourself or do you actually enjoy it?
I don't always do it. I'm not going to lie. Sometimes I just don't have the motivation. And sometimes the days are really long and tiring. And I'm like, you know what? I feel like that was like enough of a workout for me today. And it's more important for me to get sleep than to try to get a workout in. So sometimes it is hard and I don't have the motivation to do it. But when I do, I try to do what I can.
Yeah. I mean, that's awesome. And that's where I think that like every little bit counts too.
Mm-hmm.
And it is cool that you can just like walk around the arena.
Yeah.
I know whenever I was still in radio and we did our show live at every Riverbend show, like we'd get there like way early. So way before anybody was allowed to come in, and we'd watch the crew or the artist work out. They would like do hill sprints up the lawn. Like they would bring like their version of like a sled, like tie off some weights around them and like do full workouts. And I'm like, well, they got to get it in. So they just probably knew like we're going to an arena that has, or, you know, a venue that has a lawn, and how do we get out here and work out in it? And it's like, I'm sure there's everything screaming at you like, no, chill. We're just going to drink and party, because that seems to be what you do when you're on tour. But
yeah,
it's like, how do we get out here when it's 95 degrees and super humid and go sweat our ass off running up and down the lawn where very questionable things happen?
Right. And it was, sometimes it's harder, sometimes it's easier, depending on what people you're working with. But like this last tour that I did, multiple people are also on a fitness journey, and they have different goals, but they were all like trying to work out before the show. So that was super helpful. So we all like one day we all did a group workout in the gym. So it's nice that we could kind of keep each other accountable in that way too.
That's cool. So do you have the same crew this year, or do you have all new people?
I think for the most part, it's all the same people. I won't know until I get there, I guess.
Gotcha. So, like, I'm just curious, total like sidetrack. Like, how does your job work? Like, what are you doing when you go on tour? Do you go on tour with different bands and different festivals? Do you would like stick to certain bands? Like, how does that all work?
So usually I've just done festivals, and it depends. Like sometimes I work Live Nation festivals, and sometimes I work independent festivals, and every festival I'm probably doing something different, honestly. But like the one I have in July, I will be working with media, doing the live social content stuff. So that is a lot of running around. And with that festival, there's one stage on a lower level, and then the other stage is on a hill. So like that is a workout in itself, just going back and forth. But this year I started touring, and that was doing photo and social content stuff too. So, and some artist relations stuff. So making sure everyone has their passes and the artist friends can get in and all that fun stuff.
Dealing with some egos, I'm sure.
Yes, for sure.
That part doesn't sound as much fun.
No.
I think I just got into this conversation earlier today when some people hear about your job and they're like, oh my God, that's a dream job. And you're just like, it is, but then like, it's still a job. You know what I mean? Like where you just like, don't even think of stuff like that. Like how cool to go on tour. And then you're just like, yeah, I love it. But at the same time, some of these people, not so cool.
Yeah. It definitely has its ups and downs. And some days you're like, I would just rather be home right now. But
So are you a stress or an emotional eater?
Not well. I think sometimes if I'm like, oh my gosh, I had the worst day ever, I'm definitely going to go get an ice cream sundae. Or I'll be like, yeah, I'm gonna go get a huge iced coffee because I deserve it because today sucked. I think I'm more like treat yourself because today sucked kind of person.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. Because I just didn't know if like things got really stressful, then you're not at home and you don't have all of your resources. Is that something where you're just like, I'm about to go, because this is me. I'm like, I am gonna go power eat these feelings away, because it feels like if I were on the road and I was in hotels and I didn't have like, well, kind of the parameters I have being in my own house, like I think I would and I wasn't in a good headspace. I think that would be a good mixture for problems.
Yeah, I think I definitely was like that. I think I'm a lot better now, and just because I have Sarah to check in with, I am a little bit better about reeling myself in when that happens. But I mean, there's definitely been times where I'm like, I'm on the road. A billion people are yelling at us about their guest passes, and there's chocolate cake right here. I think I'm gonna eat some chocolate cake. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
I feel that. So do you have any goals moving forward, or is there anything that you in particular want to accomplish or do or anything like that?
Um, I definitely just want to keep lifting heavy, uh, and see where I can grow with that. I haven't been doing deadlifts in a while, and I want to get back to that and probably hit a new PR there. Um, I am trying not to focus on the scale as much now, but I think I still would like to hit the lose a total of 100 pounds, just because I feel like that's where I've been set for a while. So, um, but we'll see, because like I said, the body composition thing is crazy, and I continue to train, so we'll see where that goes. And maybe I'll hit that before I hit 100.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and what would be interesting too is like, what if you hit that 100 and you're just like, ooh, this ain't even it. You know what I mean? Where
yeah,
you're just
yeah,
like, no, I'm going to
yeah.
gain some. Like, I liked my body better at a certain size. Like, I will say for me, like at my very lowest, even at my very lowest, I was just still like, you're fat, you need to lose more. Just not probably the best headspace. I realize that now and not at the time. And then where I was, I would say not last year, like 2021, I was not at my lowest, but where my body composition was and where I was just like, this is a sweet spot. I enjoy this. I feel strong. I feel good. This is the first time I've really felt like I really like love my body. And I'm like, oh, how much better I feel now that I was at even a lowest weight where I could see visible abs. And I'm like, that's interesting to me, where at that time I'm like, yeah, I didn't think that like, oh, I'm going to gain weight and feel even happier in my body. But like how you just, I think you have to be open and ride the wave. But it's curious how, or just interesting how, yeah, that sort of thing happens, and that may happen or not, or who knows. But yeah,
Yeah, I think it's just like seeing where I'm at, not necessarily on the scale, but yeah, because maybe I do hit wherever I want to be, and it's not 100, and it's lower than that or higher than that. So, yeah, I don't know.
yeah. I think it's just like, it's awesome though that you just love being strong and hitting like weightlifting PRs. I just think that from in my perspective, that's just so super healthy to be like, I feel like a badass and I want to get stronger here versus get me down to this number. Maybe I'll have to like lift lighter weights or whatever to get my composition to get the scale down. Like that's not really going to help you as much. So I think that's just a really healthy headspace to be in.
Yeah.
And I know your mom is also on this journey too, because I was also the personal trainer for your mom. Your mom is a super badass. And so like, how was your mom's journey been? Because when I started training with your mom, she had some goals about like, hey, before I hit this certain age, I want to go on these hikes and I want to get stronger and I want to do these things. And your mom is like super dedicated.
Yes, she's super dedicated. Like I told you before, she does all the challenges that Team Fit With Me does, which like there was one where you had to set your own goals, and one of them was like hit 2 PRs in a week. I'm like, and all of us, like all the trainers at 360, we're all like, what were you thinking? You're wild. But like, so she's like all for it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I know that your mom, not to share like your mom's info, but I know that like, cause your mom also really likes to go out. Like your mom gets after it. Your mom and your dad are like part of so many social clubs and a lot of beer drinking because it's Cincinnati. And so it's like, I just think that's, where your mom had such a good headspace and balance of like, well, I'm not going to give this up. I'm still going to drink my beers, but like, how do I work in like my nutrition and my fitness around still like enjoying all of the social aspects that I love of life. So I think that is really cool that your mom, I mean, I was just with your mom when she was starting all of that. And I know that she continues to, work out with a trainer. And then she started working with Sarah right after me and her stopped working together. So, or it was right around that same time, I think, like maybe within like a week or two. So it's cool that your mom is still on that journey and kicking ass, but I'm not surprised at all because your mom just seems to get laser focused.
Yeah, I feel like we're very similar, but it's cool to see that she's still like hitting her goals and like making a lot of progress and still like balancing like her social life and still enjoying her beers. I mean, like she's definitely cut back or she'll make different changes. I know like my best friend got married and her and my dad went and, instead of having beer, she did the like vodka soda thing. So like sometimes she makes those little changes here and there, but yeah, it's
but
cool
when
to
you're
see
doing
her.
like all the German festivals, like you got to drink beer.
She's drinking beer there for sure. So she'll like plan out her week. She'll be like, okay, we have a German festival on Saturday. Then I'm not going to go out and drink beer at a marathon on Wednesday, she's just a little bit more mindful about it than she probably was before.
Which, since you mentioned that, I just have to mention where people in Cincinnati may not know this because this may be a West Side thing. I don't know if it expands beyond the West Side. This is just my knowledge of how everybody goes to the gas station to drink.
Yes. It's the wildest thing, but it's
and I didn't
hop in local bar.
I mean, I heard about it before of going to the marathon to like, because I guess there's a bar in the back, but I didn't know anybody that actually went there until I met your mom. And I was just like, I still haven't been there, but I'm like I've lived in a lot of places. I've been around and I have not heard of people being like the local hangouts to drink at the gas station.
Yeah. Never in a million years would I think that we would be drinking beer at a gas station.
Do you go there too?
It's like I'll go sometimes if they're up there. And then like last year when the Bengals were in the playoffs, we literally went to the gas station to watch the game and drink beer.
Awesome. Oh my God. Now, like you're from Cincinnati though. Is that a West Side thing or is that happening somewhere else in Cincinnati too?
They were the first ones that I knew of doing this, but I think more have popped up in other areas.
Okay.
So it hasn't been a thing for too long.
I just think it's hilarious.
It is.
Well, because like,
it really is.
I think when I first found out about it, I was talking to somebody who like owns a brewery, and they're like, "Oh, we're having a tap night at the gas station." And I'm like, "What? What does that mean?"
Mm-hmm.
They're like, "Oh, well, we're a tap takeover at the bar that's in the gas station." Like, oh, okay. Yeah. I didn't know that existed, but that is amazing. And I'm since I'm buying a new house, maybe that should be my exit from the West Side, is I need to go to the marathon and have a drink before
a little West Side send off at
the
marathon.
Well, I guess there's all sorts of like I could go to like what is it, Ron's Roost, and what else is on the West Side, and just all the very West Side thing. I can go like hang out at Elder. Everybody listening to this is not from Cincinnati is like, I have no idea what they're talking about, but it is apparently a big deal. I put on Instagram that I was leaving the West Side and I got many messages.
The West Side is serious about the West Side.
I know, but I'm not from here, so I'm not married to it. So
tied down.
I have been on the West Side for 8 years though. So 7-8 years. So been here a minute. Time to try something else, I guess. Find me another gas station bar.
Yes. There might be one out there.
I'll let you know if I find one. And then we'll work that into your macros. And then me, you, and your mom can go hit the gas station bar.
Okay. Deal.
Well, awesome. Well, thank you for checking in. And like I just, like I said, I just think it's awesome. Like I think that when you see somebody like that just stays dedicated and like falls in love with the process is like so huge, where it's like the first conversation we had is like, oh, like, yeah, you lost weight in 2020 and all this. That's awesome. But you're like, no, this is a lifestyle. Like I'm really into fitness. I'm getting into like learning about my food and how I do all of that. I think that, and I mean, you got like your whole family on board because your dad works out too. Yep. So like how like that is just like that enthusiasm like has kind of gone into your entire family, which is cool. But then also to be like the recognition of like, I need coaches and I need people to help me along this journey. And I know what my weak spots are. And I want somebody to be there when I want to eat this, or I want to eat like an asshole when I'm on tour, somebody to be like, hey, I just want to check in with you to hear some feedback. So I'm not just doing this thing on my own because I want to make the best choices for me. I don't know. I think that's awesome. So I think that you're really like crushing it and like all of the applause because it's so hard to do. And you've stayed dedicated and still having goals, I think is really kick ass.
Yeah. I think like finding things I enjoy and getting help from Sarah and you and Nick and is what's helped me continue to do it for these past 3 years or so. So yeah. Nothing's really stuck until now. So I figured it out finally.
Right? Yeah. I mean, 3 years is a long streak. That's not a yo-yo diet. That's not a fad. That is like finding out and especially being on tour and like traveling so much to stay dedicated to that is a lifestyle choice. Like that's not like, hey, I need to do this for 2 months to go on a trip and then I'm going to bounce on it.
Right.
So yeah, I just think that's amazing. And we'll have to check in again, maybe not wait another 2 years.
Yes, we can do it sooner.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
AmandaValentineBites.com